It's about time with Rashan's About Time Boxing, aka Mr. Trill 100 Mil. Thank you, man, to every single one of y'all who has been taking out the time to watch the videos, like the videos, share the videos, and leave the comments. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and encourage others to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that notification button to stay up on the latest with Rashan's About Time Boxing. We're going to talk about understanding the sport of boxing and recognizing talent and knowing when a fighter is good and knowing that they're destined to be great. And what I mean by that is we're talking about, Jaron Ennis, because for some strange reason, Boots Ennis still seems to be overlooked by the masses. And people still seem to believe that he's not a special talent. Some people still think that he's unproven. And some people think that he's not an elite fighter. But there's no way that as a fight fan or as an individual who say that they love the sport of boxing and you're unbiased. See, that's the thing. Being a fight fan, but majority of fight fans are biased, okay, towards fighters that they don't like. Whether the fighter is good or great or good and destined to be great, they still will not give the fighter their credit. In this, and some of y'all can disagree with me if y'all want. Those of y'all who disagree, drop the comments in the comment section below. But this is a classic example of what's happening with Jaron Boots Ennis right now. You got a lot of people who, who overlooks this kid talent. You got people that's saying, again, like I stated earlier, they say he's unproven. He's not an elite fighter. How? And every time he fights somebody that the elite fighters already fought, then all of a sudden, when he fights them, they're not the same fighter that they was when they fought the elite fighter. They're a shell of what they used to be. When he fought Juan Carlos Abreu, up until that point, Juan Carlos Abreu had never even been stopped in his entire career. Boots was the first person to stop him. But everybody told me, oh, that's Juan Carlos Abreu. But if Errol Spence had stopped them, everybody before Spence got dominated by Crawford, everybody would have like, no, Spence is the man dominating. If Terrence Crawford would have did the same thing, they would have said that. Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, if anybody, would have fought, Juan Carlos Abreu and had to, stop them, they would have been like, yeah, you seen what he did to that boy? But Jaron Ennis do it, and oh, well, so what? He ain't beat nobody. But whether y'all want to admit it or not, Jaron Ennis is the biggest threat in the welterweight division. Now, I know a lot of y'all going to disagree with that. I can see the comments already. Oh, man, you need to stop the capping, bro. Oh, man, you tripping, man. What you mean? What you mean he's the most fair? He's the most fair man in the welterweight division. He is. Boots is the most fair man in the welterweight division and the most avoided. Y'all can take it however y'all want. Draw whatever conclusions y'all must. But the reality is he is the most avoided man in the welterweight division. Nobody wants to fight him. And this is why he's fighting the guys that he's fighting and everybody claiming he's not fighting nobody. But you ever stop to think that maybe his skill set is that good? That's why he making these guys who y'all saying are bums. But I bet you if any one of y'all got in the ring to fight any one of those guys that he fought, those guys will probably stop y'all. So y'all can say like, oh man, he beating bums. That's what people say. Oh, he beating bums. When Terrence Crawford fought Thomas Delorme wasn't a bum. When Mikey Garcia fought Sergey Lipinets wasn't a bum. When Errol Spence fought Chris Van Heerden wasn't a bum. When Terrence Crawford fought David Avanesian wasn't a bum. But now most of y'all probably forgot when Terrence Crawford did an interview with Brian Custer. And Brian Custer asked Terrence Crawford who was the biggest threat in the welterweight division. Who name y'all think Terrence Crawford mentioned? He said Jaron Ennis is the biggest threat in the welterweight division. Y'all ain't got to take my word for it. Go back and look at the interview that Terrence Crawford did with Brian Custer. And when Brian Custer asked Terrence Crawford who was the biggest threat in the welterweight division, he didn't say Keith Thurman. He didn't say Manny Pacquiao. You know, he didn't say Mario Barrios. He didn't say Errol Spence. He didn't. He said Jaron Ennis is the biggest threat. And to me, that's Terrence Crawford giving Jaron Ennis his props. Whether y'all want to look at it like, you know, it's a lot of respect there between them two. And even with Keith Thurman, before Showtime shut down, Keith Thurman and Jaron Ennis both was fighting on Showtime. And they asked Keith Thurman if he knew who Jaron Ennis was, and he lied and said no, he didn't know who Jaron Ennis was. And then it finally came, and then he did another interview, and he was like, oh yeah, all right, yeah, I know who he is. And he was saying that because he didn't want to be asked the questions about fighting him. Nobody wants to fight this kid. And I don't want to hear nobody saying, oh, well, he ain't, ain't no money in that. He ain't worth it. Yeah, everybody thought the same thing about Floyd Mayweather too, before he fought Oscar De La Hoya. And Jaron Ennis just doing what he's supposed to do with the level of opposition they put in front of him. He got to stay busy. He got a job to do. What he's supposed to, sit on the shelf and wait till, the elite guys want to fight him? He got to stay sharp. He got to stay busy. When they asked Floyd Mayweather, when Larry Merchant interviewed Floyd Mayweather at his mansion, and he asked Floyd, he said, well, and y'all know how Larry Merchant talk. Floyd, why is it that you think you're not fighting the big fights? Floyd said, look, he said, I can't make these top guys fight me, and he mentioned guys like Winky Wright, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya. He said, I can't make the top guys fight me. He said, if they don't want to fight me, I'm going to fight the guys underneath them. And if the guys underneath them don't want to fight me, I'm going to fight the guys up underneath them. He said, I got a job to do. I got to stay busy. I can't sit on the shelf because these guys don't want to fight. And I don't know, some of y'all seem to think that that's what Boot's supposed to do. Just sit back, not train, just wait to get a phone call, not stay busy. And then when he get in there, you know what I mean, and he destroy somebody or make them look bad, then all of a sudden y'all want to criticize him about it. People already talking about, oh, well, David Avanesian ain't the same fighter that he was when Bud fought him. Why isn't he? Why isn't he? David Avanesian is not an A plus fighter, but y'all pegged him an A plus fighter when Bud fought him. But when Boots fight him, now all of a sudden he dropped down to a C level fighter. He's been that. He's been a C plus fighter or a B minus fighter. He's been that. Former world champion. But he's been, I'm not saying that Avanesian is lower level opposition, but Boots got criticized for that, and Boots made him quit on his stool. Yeah, he ain't answer the bell, but Bud knocked him out. Yeah, but y'all know why he quit on his stool? Ask the people in Thomas Jefferson Hospital who was in room 41 after that fight. They took David Avanesian to Jefferson Hospital. He was in room 41 with a broken jaw and broken ribs. And y'all can say, no, Boots ain't break his jaw, he ain't break his rib. Oh, you capping. Yeah, y'all thought I was capping when I told y'all Chris Van Heerden said that Boots was stronger than Errol Spence and harder than Spence. Just like a lot of y'all thought that before Spence got stopped by Terrence Crawford. A lot of y'all was talking about, oh man, Spencer walk Boots down, man. Boots don't want that work, man. Spencer destroy him. But as soon as Bud, destroyed Errol Spence, and all of a sudden that narrative changed quick. Everybody talking about, oh man, Boots will destroy, man, Spence, man. Man, Boots will walk Spence down, man. Man, he too fast for Spence. He too strong, man. He some of y'all was saying, man, he'll stop Spence, man, faster than Bud. But still, some of y'all don't want to acknowledge, that Jaron Ennis is a special talent. This kid is special. And again, I'm not taking no shots at Terrence Crawford. But it's a reason that Bud don't want to fight him right now. No, it's not because he's scared of him. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Bud's agenda is different, but there's a reason he got a different agenda. He's going up to 154 to fight somebody who's 10-0 with 7 knockouts. Israel Madrimov. What are y'all gonna say if Bud have issues with Israel Madrimov? Are y'all gonna talk bad about Bud? Because y'all was talking bad about Bud before he fought Errol Spence. And I was telling y'all that ain't no way in the world Errol Spence was going to beat Terrence Crawford. But y'all talking about what, man? Oh, you smoking rocks. Man, you capping, you tripping, man. Man, Spence going to walk Bud down. Bud too small. Y'all said all that. And I was the one who told y'all not only was Terrence Crawford going to beat Errol Spence, but he was going to stop him and why he was going to stop him. Same reason I told y'all why he was going to beat Sean Porter and stop Sean Porter too. And when it happened, all of a sudden, everything changed. Now, all of a sudden, the same bunch of people who was talking about Bud wasn't a household name. He wasn't this, he wasn't that. Then after he beat Spence, now all of a sudden, everybody talking about Bud. So this is what I mean about some boxing fans. Like, when y'all favor a fighter, y'all just biased towards fighters that y'all don't like instead of giving them their credit. Even if I don't like a fighter, I'm going to give a fighter their credit. Do I think Virgil Ortiz went up to 154 because he's running from Jaron Ennis? Yep. Do I think Errol Spence went up to 154 because he's running from Jaron Ennis? Yep. Now, I said it before and I'll say it again. So stop mistaking what I'm getting ready to say for saying that I said Bud ran, that Bud is running. I'm saying one could make the argument that Terrence Crawford went up to 154 to avoid fighting Jaron Ennis. Starting with what? Instead of fighting Boots, he allowed himself to be stripped of the IBF title. Now, a lot of people talking about, yeah, well, what Boots, this ain't fight. You know what I mean? All the people, man, that was up underneath. He fought all of them people. How you think he became to be the #1 contender? And how do you think he got to be the IBF interim champion? By beating everybody that they put in front of him. That's not his fault that he was the mandatory for the IBF title at the time that Bud and Errol Spence fought each other. But when they were supposed to fight November 19th, 2022, I believe it was. No, I think it was November 19th of 2021 or 22. No, matter of fact, it was November 19th of 2022 they were supposed to fight. And that's when Bozy Ennis, Jaron Ennis trainer and father, they petitioned the IBF when they realized that Spence and Bud wasn't going to fight, and that's when Bud decided to fight David Avanesian. In December of 2022, he decided to fight Avanesian instead of fighting him and Spence. They couldn't come to agreement, whatever. So Bozy petitioned the IBF to force Errol Spence to fight Jaron Ennis. And excuse me, and then after Bud beat David Avanesian 7 months later, July 23rd, no, July 29th of 2023, that's when Bud and Spence fought. So the IBF had already mandated that whoever won that undisputed fight between them two would have to fight Jaron Ennis next anyway. It was already mandated. No, Bud didn't get slighted or nothing, but it was already mandated. They was trying to fight Errol Spence because Bud and Spence couldn't come to an agreement. Y'all remember all that. But then once they finally came, to a conclusion, you know what I'm saying? And agreed on, some money because Bud got paid $25 million for fighting Errol Spence. They came to an agreement and they had a rematch clause. And had they had a rematch, whoever won the first fight automatically would get the lion's share of the rematch. But that never happened. But the IBF said, okay, well, now that they agreed to fight, they came to terms, whoever wins that fight have to fight Jaron Ennis next. So it was mandated for Bud to have to fight him. And Bud was like, no, I'm not going to fight him. Y'all can go ahead and y'all can go ahead and take the belt. And that's when Bud was talking about F the IBF and all that. He didn't care about that belt and all that. And right now, the WBC has him as the champion in recess. The WBC has Terrence Crawford. He's the champion in recess. And after he fight Israel Madrimov, they're going to elevate Mario Barrios to the WBC regular champion. And he's supposed to, after he fight Israel Madrimov, he's supposed to, I guess, drop all the other belts. So I know I think Brian Norman has the WBA, I think. No, I think he got the WBO. Because Stanionis got the WBA regular welterweight title. Because Spence had the WBA super welterweight title at the time when he was the unified champion with the IBF, WBA, and WBC. He had the WBA super. And that was the belt that Ugas took from Pacquiao, and then Spence took it from Ugas. And coincidentally, the belt that Bud is fighting for when he fight Israel Madrimov is the WBA super welterweight, as they say, / junior middleweight title. So that's why I said one could make the argument that Bud went up to 154 to not fight Jaron Ennis. Now, just imagine any fighter who's on the second half of their career and they just want, the biggest fights for the most amount of money that they can get. Now, if they fight Jaron Ennis and lose, don't you think they stock will go down and all of those big money fights go out the window? That's why I said Bud has a different agenda. So it's possible we may or may never even see that fight. We may or may not see it. But I know one thing for sure. Errol Spence is not going to fight Jaron Ennis, and neither is Virgil Ortiz. They both going to keep running from him. It's possible we may or may, it's possible we might, see Terrence Crawford and Jaron Ennis possibly at 154. But now, when I was at the weigh-in for Boots Ennis versus Avanesian, and they asked him about after he fought David Avanesian if he had the chance to go up to 54 and fight Terrence Crawford next, or fight, for to unify or to get more belts, which one would he choose? And he said, look, I'm going to collect all these belts at 147. And everybody took that and created this narrative that Boots didn't want to fight Terrence Crawford. Yeah, Boots said he want to stay at 147. He don't want that smoke. But nobody said that when Terrence Crawford was already down at 147 and had the chance to fight him and chose to get stripped of the belt instead of fighting him. Nobody said that Bud was running from him. So why would y'all try to spin this narrative and say that Jaron Ennis don't want to fight Terrence. He don't want to smoke with Bud because he said he wanted to get all the belts at 47 and then go up to 54 and do the same thing. So if that's Jaron Ennis' agenda, then why can't he stick to his agenda? But because he said that, he don't want to smoke with Terrence Crawford. But Terrence Crawford got stripped of a belt because he wasn't fighting. And again, I'm not taking shots at Terrence Crawford. I'm just giving y'all different angles and different ways that y'all can look at this for some of y'all who's closed-minded and y'all not really looking at this situation from every angle. Y'all not looking at it from every angle. Y'all looking at this joint from, you know what I mean, with a biased mindset. I told you I like Terrence Crawford too. He's one of my favorite fighters. But he was at 47 with all 4 belts and had the chance to fight Jaron Ennis and chose not to. But because if they offer Boots his next fight to fight Terrence Crawford or to stay at 47 and fight for another belt, and he choose to fight for another belt, oh, see, well, why he ain't take the fight and go up to 54? Why didn't they fight at 47? You could make the argument for that. So again, it's about timing. Take all of the politics or politics and nonsense out of the fight game. It's about timing. So hopefully when the time is right, that fight can happen. Jaron Ennis is not scared of, nor is he running from Terrence Crawford. And Terrence Crawford is not scared of, nor is he running from Jaron Ennis. Period. But everybody else in the welterweight division is running from him. I know that. Keith Thurman don't want to fight him. They asked Teofimo Lopez about fighting Boots. He don't want that smoke. And that punk ass, clown ass Ryan Garcia, you know, when Eddie Hearn told his father when he was talking about, after they cheated to beat Devin Haney, and then they was like, well, who you got? And then Eddie Hearn said, Jaron Boots Ennis. His father turned right back around and was like, oh, I'm just playing. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah, people who can come from 140 to 47 to fight Boots ain't going to do that. They not. Keith Thurman at 147. Keith Thurman trying to take the safest way to get to a belt that he can. If they offered him a fight probably against Brian Norman, he'll probably take that fight. Or a fight against Stanionis, he'll take that fight. Jaron Ennis was supposed to have got a fight against Stanionis. They told him he would get that fight a few times and lied to him about that because they knew he was going to knock Stanionis out. Jamal James didn't want to fight him. Lipinets came up to fight Boots. And y'all see what happened to Lipinets. But nobody in 147 wants to fight Jaron Ennis. Why? He got a major promoter behind him. Damn all that. I'm not, listen, I don't want to hear nobody leaving no comments talking about, oh man, you know, yeah, Boots is good, man. He's destined to be great, but he a high risk, low reward. Nah, he got a major promoter behind him. And by the way, I'll repeat it. He sold out the Wells Fargo Center. He did over 1.1 million at the gate. So that's his congratulations to Jaron Ennis and Team Ennis, Derek Bosie Ennis and the whole Team Ennis for selling out the Wells Fargo Center and doing this is first $1 million gate, and it's only going to get greater from here. So if y'all want to keep complaining about the level of opposition they putting him in there with, stop being biased and demand that he fight these, that these sanctioning bodies start mandating that these guys got to fight him, the Stanionises, the Butayevs, the Mario Barrios, the Keith Thurmans, the Brian Normans, and anybody else that's in the division. Because guess what? He's like a whirlwind out of control, and he's coming. He's coming. Put him in there with a Conor Benn. Watch him knock. That's why Conor Benn keep talking about trying to fight Tank, because he know he bigger than Tank. But when every time Jaron Ennis' name come up, mum's the word. That boy ain't got no rap. He don't want to fight Boots either. Yeah, I said it. Virgil Ortiz don't want to fight Boots. Errol Spence don't want to fight Boots. Conor Benn don't want to fight Boots. Uh, um, um, Brian Norman don't want to fight Boots. I ain't got nothing against Brian Norman either, but he don't want to fight Boots. A lot of people, Mario Barrios don't want to fight Boots. Pacquiao talking about coming out of retirement to fight Mario Barrios. Bet you he don't want to fight Boots. Keith Thurman, I mentioned him, but all of these people, man. Stanionis, Butayev, Jamal James. All right. And Rashidi Ellis. Everybody was talking about Rashidi Ellis was going to get Boots' problem, but since Royman Villa cleaned his clock and Boots destroyed Royman Villa, knocked him out, you ain't hear nothing about Rashidi Ellis. You don't even hear nothing about him. What happened to Speedy Rashidi? Off the radar. Because them guys know. See, Jaron Ennis ain't no gatekeeper, and y'all know that. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. Just ask around. All of them people that's around, they know. They know. Shoot. Robert the Ghost Guerrero. When Bozy Ennis approached his father about Boots getting a fight with his son, they told Bozy, look, man, with all due respect, we respect what you're doing with your son and all that, but we not trying to go in that direction. We trying to avoid him. Nobody wants to fight this kid. Adrian Broner, nobody wants to fight Jaron Ennis. And all that high risk, low reward, okay, now he with Matchroom Boxing. So the money is there with Turkey Ala Sheik and Eddie Hearn and DAZN Matchroom Boxing. So the money is there now. So it's either put up or shut up. Well, we gonna see now, just how serious all these people who say that they want to fight him. We're gonna see just how serious all these people is who's saying that they want to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. So we're gonna see now. Because now that the money is there, and no matter how much money they get offered to fight him, they're gonna ask for more. Why? Because they really trying to get out of the fight. Drop the comments in the comment section below and let me know. Unbiasedly though, do y'all think that Jaron Ennis is the most avoided man in the welterweight division? And if not, who? Who do y'all think is more avoided in the welterweight division than Jaron Ennis? Drop the comments in the comment section below and let me know what y'all think.